I'm with Rabbi Yehuda Glick, a member of the Knesset. Now, Rabbi Yehuda, what's it like for you representing your country in the Knesset?
It's a great privilege. And every single day I wake up and I say to myself, God, thank you for the privilege, and I hope that in every action I do, every word I say, I shall sanctify his name and, God forbid, not disgrace it.
Now, you're championing the cause for Jews being allowed on the Temple Mount to pray. What's his life like on the Temple Mount for Jews who go up there?
I'm very happy to say that in the past 2 years there's been a major change. Up to 2 years ago, any Jew who would ascend Temple Mount would be a victim of violence, of hate, of harassment, incitement. In the past 2 years, 2 years ago, we outlawed the Northern Islamic organization that were organizing the violence on Temple Mount. And ever since then, it's been pretty quiet on Temple Mount. People go every single day. The numbers of Jews is climbing. It's in 2018, we had more than 30,000 Jews ascending Temple Mount, where, just for comparison, the year earlier, there were 16,000. So we're almost doubled the number. And more are going up and ascending all the time. And we see it's really, in my eyes, it's a great event. It's a historical event, biblical era, prophetic era, and that's what we see.
Are you allowed to actually go and pray up there as a Jew on the Temple Mount?
They don't allow Jews to demonstrate prayer. You can go up there, and I think that makes the prayer much deeper. If you ascend Temple Mount without holding a book, without shaking, just the prayer from inside is stronger than anything else in the world.
But does it seem crazy that this is Israel? It's a holy place for the Jews, yet you can't really pray there?
This world is not a complete world. For 2,000 years, it was crazy that the Jews weren't home in their homeland. So that's life, and our object in this life is to try to improve it, and always to try to bring the change.
When you go up there, do you see children being disrespectful by playing football on the side?
We prefer to look at the positive sides. We see many Jews ascending. We see many Christians ascending. Many Muslims ascending peacefully, quietly, praying to God from the city of Jerusalem, Jerusalem of peace, Jerusalem, the house of God. And we see it happening, the words of the prophets, that the Temple Mount should become a house of prayer for all nations.
Do you believe that one day the third temple will be built there?
Just like every one of the prophecies have materialized and become a reality, we see that all happening, and I'm sure that we will build the third temple as well. And the third temple, as the prophets tell us, will be a house of prayer for all nations.
Now you've stood up for the rights of Jews to pray on the Temple Mount, and this has threatened your life. Tell us what happened.
In October 2014, at the end of an event, we were teaching about Jerusalem as a city of peace, and we were preaching and advocating tolerance and respect, and how Jerusalem is a city which is sanctified to so many people around the world, billions of people, believers of the Bible, and therefore it should be a potential for peace. But there are those, in the name of God, believe that exclusively they have a right to kill. And at the end of an event, I was attacked from very close, from 30 centimeters away. It was very close, 1 foot away. 4 bullets shot to the center of my body. I was critically injured. I was hospitalized for 10 days. I was in coma. I went through several different several different operations. And thank God, I've survived.
Do you feel that's a miracle today that you're alive?
For sure. But the chances for me to survive there were 0. And my family were all called to say goodbye. And after I went through so many surgical procedures, it's definitely a great miracle that medicine today is definitely an angel from God.
Now, we're coming up to 50 years of the reunification of Jerusalem and Israel's 70th birthday. The American embassy's been moved, and even Prince William is coming. Are we living in amazing days?
For sure. Anybody who's 2 years ago, nobody would believe that these Americans are moving their embassy, and here we see it happening. We actually read the verses of the book of Ezra. Cyrus, who's the leader of all the states, decides to recognize Jerusalem 70 years away, and here we are exactly on our 70th anniversary. And it's definitely a miracle, and therefore, but we don't leave it only for the kings and for the leaders. I think everybody every one of you listeners, everybody who's in the world, all mankind can be part of that process. We opened the page called the Jerusalem Covenant, where we say that people recognize the fact that this is a biblical era, recognize the fact that Jerusalem is a city of unification of all those who believe in one God. And we have over 200,000 people who have signed the Jerusalem Covenant. Just you go into jerusalemofpeace.com, and you can sign the Jerusalem Covenant, and you yourself can be part of this procedure. It's not something you can only hear about other people, but we call upon all people to take part. Go into jerusalemofpeace.com, sign the Jerusalem Covenant, and you yourself be part of this godly, biblical phenomena, prophetical era.
Now, it is 50 years of the reunification of Jerusalem and Israel's 70th birthday. Are those numbers significant biblically?
For sure. I mean, 50 is the Jubilee, the year of freedom, the year of liberty. And 70 is we saw 70 years, which represents a lot of ideas in the process of redemption. As I said, Second Temple was rebuilt 70 years after the First Temple. We see that Daniel speaks many times about 7 times 70, and we see that the number 70 is the number of the sages of the people of Israel. It's definitely a very significant number, but we see it happening, and we believe that things are happening. The major changes. The majority of the people of Israel are now living in Israel, the biggest gathering of Jewish people around the world, and I think that it's a message not only for the people of Israel. We have chosen to be a light to the nations, meaning to show the light of all nations. And all people from all nations can be proud of being part of the process.
Now, you're Jewish and I'm Christian. Is the Jewish-Christian relationship a good relationship?
Look, throughout history, we've had different friction between Jews and Christians, between Jews and Muslims, between Jews and many others, Germans, Greeks, Babylonians. But we're not here to look back at the past. We're here to look ahead at the future. And those who bless us, God says, will be blessed. And Abraham was chosen to be the ancestor of the people of Israel to bring the blessing to all nations. And therefore, if we have the process, I think the fact that we see the phenomenon that so many Christians around the world are praying for Israel, supporting Israel, sharing support of all kind with Israel, is definitely also part of this process.
Now, there are many threats round about Israel. Do you see God's hand protecting the nation?
We always have to pray, and we always have to try to get closer to God. Yes, I'm sure that anybody looking back at the history of the state of Israel in the past 70 years, how many wars we've gone through, there's no other rational explanation but the hand of God.
Is Israel a miracle in itself to be here?
Every single day in this country is a miracle. Every single success that we have is a miracle. Every single day that we survive is a miracle. But when you get miracles, it's not only something to be proud about and something to celebrate. It's also an obligation to bring it about and to show the world God's. And that's what we're chosen to bring the word of God to the entire universe.
As we come up to the 70th birthday of Israel, what do you feel is the biggest threat to the nation of Israel today?
It's the threat, not only the nation of Israel, it's the threat for the all of humankind. Those who people and speak in the name of God exclusively, because God is inclusive; He's not exclusive. And people who, in the name of God, allow themselves to harm others, to kill others. People in the name of any kind of ideology attack others and allow themselves to be cruel to others. These are things that threaten all mankind, and we all have to take upon ourselves to add light to this world, to add good to the world, to add the message of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a city of peace. Jerusalem is a city of tolerance, and to teach the world of bringing the light and connecting the world to the light of the universe, Jerusalem.
Now, many Christians pray for Israel. What can they pray today for the nation of Israel?
I said it's not only for the nation of Israel. For every single success of people of Israel is a success for the world. You can join us at jerusalemofpeace.com, and you can sign the Jerusalem Covenant, and you can be part of this great thing, and you can pray that we continue to stand here in the name of God, and that we continue to bring God's light to the world, and to stand out as a beam of light, as a milestone, as a beacon of light, and to continue in our success in all the fields of science, agriculture, economy, medicine, culture, ethics, morality.
Okay, Rabbi Yehuda Glick, thank you very much.
Thank you very, very, very much. And I send many, many positive energies of life, of light, to all the world from the light of the universe, Jerusalem.